plan your week accordingly. Let's chant the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashtapraeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrashabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vamcha kalpatarubhyascha Krupa sindhubhya evacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome all Prabhujis, Matajis to this morning's discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam as part of the Bhakti Vaibhav program. So to start with, my apologies to Devika Mataji. I had promised to go through the answers for Unit 6 test paper. However, the checking is still in progress. So what we can do is next week before we start, for chapter 2 to chapter 6, we can give around half an hour, 35 minutes. And if possible, we can start 30 minutes early so that these answer sheets walkthrough can be done quickly. And then we start with our regular Bhakti Vaibhav session. If that is okay, if that works all right with all of you. Okay, and attending this is not mandatory, only if you need clarifications on answers to the questions for chapter 2 to chapter 6, you can attend that. Else, you can attend the regular 10 a.m. IST session. Okay, so let's start. Anybody recollects what did we discussed last time? Hare Krishna. Prabhuji's Mataji's. Gita, Pradeep Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
After Narada departure, Vasudeva in his own ashrama, the banks of river Saraswati, he started his meditation in his ashrama cottage in Samyaprasha. Then he fixed his mind on meditation on the Supreme Lord without any materialism. Then he saw absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy.
Yes. So just to be clear, as such, Vyasadeva saw Lord with his external energy, who was standing like a shadow. And along with the external energy, he also saw the internal energy, marginal energy, and the effect of the external energy on the living entities, but that will come today. But even if you answer what you just mentioned, it is still correct. Srila Vyasadeva saw the absolute personality of Godhead, Supreme Lord Krishna, along with its external energy, the Maya potency of the Lord. And we saw basically how for devotees, it is very important to know how Lord Krishna's energies work, because this world has been designed in such a way that it is under the supervision of Lord's various energies. And if we are not careful about understanding about Lord's illusory potency, how it works, and our understanding of Lord Krishna would remain on the sentimental platform. And in that case, whenever there is an attack by the material energy, by the Maya potency of the Lord, Mahamaya, then immediately our own conviction, if it is not based on proper Siddhanta, then our process of devotional service, it will become the first casualty. And we also saw some real-time examples from the recent times of devotees who were very enthusiastically engaged in devotional service. But the understanding of the Siddhanta principle was not strong based on these workings of the Maya potency, based on the writings from our Acharya Srila Prabhupada. And immediately, as soon as there was a calamity in the life, Krishna consciousness was put on the backtrack, and we never saw the same enthusiasm in the practice of that devotee ever anytime afterwards. So that's why if we have to remain Krishna conscious and succeed in our Krishna consciousness, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that we should never ever be lazy in understanding Siddhanta. Although it may not sound as palatable as the beautiful, wonderful pastimes of Lord Krishna, understanding Siddhanta is nonetheless very, very important for a sadhaka bhakta to protect his own devotional creeper. So let's proceed with today's section. Okay, let me mark the attendance quickly. Everybody, please mark the attendance. Please do not request in the end. We'll start with text 6. How did Srila Vyasadeva saw the impact of Lord's material energy on the living entities and the mitigation, the workaround for that? And today we'll be seeing few of the very important verses, especially the text number 10, which is a very famous verse, which was explained more than one time by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to various of his principal students, devotees. And in how many ways Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained this verse, you'll be amazed to know how important is this verse. And what is the crux, what is the conclusion of this verse? 1, 7, 10. So let's start with text 6. Any devotee would like to recite Hare Krishna? You can keep your hands raised and we will request you one by one. Prema Priya Jayashri Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Anartho Pashamam Sakshat.
Anartho Pashamam Sakshat.
Bhakti Yogam Adokshaje.
Bhakti Yogam Adokshaje.
Loksha Janato Vidvams.
Loksha Janato Vidvams.
Chakre Satvat Samhitam.
Chakre Satvata Samhitam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you. One second. I will ask you to read the translation also. Let me just check the words once. Yes, so here Srila Vyasadeva is now also taking note of the condition of the living entities as a result of the effect of Maya potency. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature, which is in relation to the supreme truth.
Thank you.
Purport also, Prabhuji?
We'll ask one devotee, Mataji.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So here, Srila, thank you. Here, Srila Vyasadeva is now noticing the material miseries of the living entities as a result of the Lord's material energy, the Maya potency, and how it can be mitigated. These miseries are superfluous. Superfluous means exactly they are not meant to be the nature of the living entity. These are external to the living entity, but because the mass of people are under the influence of the material energy of the Lord, they do not know this. So Vyasadeva is thinking about the mitigation step to this effect of Maya potency on the common people. Now in the purport, we will see, we'll request one of the devotees to read. Srila Prabhupada mentions that Vyasadeva saw all the three energies, including the internal energy, the marginal energy, and the external energy. But the Bhagavatam, the verse translation as such, it just talks about the Lord and his external energy. So we'll read through some part of the purport. Who wants to read? Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji, you want to read or you want to read the next verse, whichever you prefer?
I'll read just this one.
Yes. Jagadananda Prabhuji, just read the purport, highlighted part of the purport.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Vyasadeva saw the all-perfect personality of Godhead. This statement suggests that the complete unit of the personality of Godhead includes his parts and parcels also. He saw, therefore, his different energies, namely the internal energy, the marginal energy, and the external energy. He also saw his different plenary portions and parts of the plenary portions, namely his different incarnations also, and he specifically observed the unwanted miseries of the conditioned souls who are bewildered by the external energy. And at last he saw the remedial measures for the conditioned souls, namely the process of devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So now in the subsequent verses, we will see how this process of devotional service was realized by Srila Vyasadeva in the form of the process of hearing and chanting about the glories of the Lord. So we have one more section. Jagadananda Prabhuji, you can read this also. Revival.
Revival of the dormant affection or love of Godhead does not depend on the mechanical system of hearing and chanting, but it solely and wholly depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. When the Lord is fully satisfied with the sincere efforts of the devotee, he may endow him with his loving transcendental service. But even with the prescribed forms of hearing and chanting, there is at once mitigation of the superfluous and unwanted miseries of material existence. Such mitigation of material affection does not wait for development of transcendental knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So here 2 points we can notice in this part of the purport. One part is that attaining Lord Krishna is not exactly a result of following any mechanical steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including that of hearing and chanting. We had discussed last time that chanting 16 rounds as such mechanically, we can't force Krishna to appear in front of us to be pleased or to take us back home, back to Godhead. But why we are still chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 16 rounds? First of all, Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the process that has been recommended by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu based on the evidence of the scriptures like Kali Santarana Upanishad and so many other scriptures, including Srimad Bhagavatam. And moreover, why 16 rounds? Because not one of the very prominent Acharya who has been quoted by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as his own commander-in-chief for uplifting the condition of people of Kali Yuga, Srila Prabhupada, he has specifically given instruction, he has given the concession of chanting just 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and that is our pramana, that is our reason why we chant 16 rounds. Because we see at the time of Srila Prabhupada, actually, especially the resident devotees in the temple, the brahmacharis, sannyasis, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur specifically would ask them to chant 64 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And Srila Prabhupada saw the fallen condition of people in the Western countries, not just in the Western countries, even in India when he came. And he could see that chanting 64 rounds would be very, very difficult of an instruction for the devotees to follow. And he gradually, in that conversation, that class is also available, that function, where Prabhupada asked devotees first to chant 32 rounds, but the devotees were still quite not so hopeful, and they were quite, they felt it difficult to follow. And then Srila Prabhupada said finally 16 rounds and no less. So that is our praman for chanting 16 rounds. So here it is mentioned that the revival of the dormant affection or love of Godhead does not depend on the mechanical system of hearing and chanting. So this process on its own as a mechanical step is not the reason for Lord Krishna to be pleased. But because this process has been recommended by his pure devotee, by his commander-in-chief, Lord honors the words of his pure devotees more than his own words. So Lord would immediately accept us based on the recommendation by Srila Prabhupada. And how this hearing and chanting of the names of the Lord, not just the names, but the transcendental qualities of the Lord, is being thought of by Srila Vyasadeva as the mitigation step for the material affliction of the people. So we'll see in the subsequent verses. We won't be going through all the verses, otherwise it will take very long. We'll go through the important verses. Yeah, this is the important verse, text 7. Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji, you want to recite the text? Else we can ask.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yasyam vai suryamanayam
Yasyam vai Suryamanayam
Krishne Paramapurushe
Krishne Paramapurushe
Bhakti Utpadyate Pumsaha
Bhakti Utpadyate Pumsaha
Shoka Moha Bhayapaha.
So,
Translation.
before we go to the translation, this verse is very important. I need to check whether it is part of the memorization, but you can note down for your personal reference. Yasyam vai Shruyamanayam. Now Srila Vyasadeva is contemplating the glories about hearing of Lord's name and transcendental qualities. Yasya means by hearing whose Shruyamanayam, by hearing about whose name, qualities, glorification. What happens? Krishna Paramapurushe, to that supreme personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, Bhaktir Utpadyate Pumsaha. Pumsaha means the common man, the normal human beings. In common man, we can see Bhaktir Utpadyate. It can, what is the word that is sprout up? It can spring up, the sprouting of the devotional. It can sprout, devotional service will be sprouted in the heart of a common man if he hears about Lord Krishna. This is the one effect contemplated by Srila Vyasadeva. And the second effect is Shoka, Moha, Bhaya, Paha. Three things will be mitigated, will be gone. Which are these three things? Shoka means the lamentation, Moha means the illusion, and Bhaya, Paha. Bhaya means the fearfulness. So these two effects will happen if we hear about the Supreme Lord. Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
Translation. Simply by giving oral reception, simply by giving oral reception of this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam. You want to, so we won't read through the purport. I will just explain it briefly. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that how out of all the senses, ear is the most important. And Srila Prabhupada also explains this in other parts of his purports, including in Bhagavad Gita, where he mentions that ear is the most important sense organ, because while a person is asleep, while the other senses are dormant, inactive, like our eyes, our sense of touch, the sense of taste, and so on and so forth, the ears are active, and as a result, a person can be saved from great danger as soon as he is alerted through the via medium of the sound of the danger. He can immediately get up and protect himself. Similarly, this process of hearing about the Supreme Lord, it is so powerful that immediately one can get, in the previous purport we can see that even before the stage of Lord Krishna being satisfied and uplifting the devotee to the platform of knowledge, this removal, this extinguishment of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness, this material pangs of life, it immediately happens as a result of hearing. That means this process of hearing and chanting, although performed mechanically, while satisfaction of Lord Krishna can still take some time, but material upliftment in one's material state of life, including removal of the lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness, it can immediately happen as a step-by-step process. This doesn't need any special arrangement. So even if we mechanically give oral reception to Srimad Bhagavatam, lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness can be removed immediately. So here Srila Prabhupada writes, these are the primary symptoms of the material disease, these three symptoms: lamentation, fearfulness, and illusion. And it is definitely suggested herein that simply by hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, one gets attachment for the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And as soon as this is effected, the symptoms of material disease disappear. And now there are so many examples of this we have discussed earlier. Like in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, before we started Bhakti Vaibhav, we discussed the beautiful story of Gokarna and his sinful brother who had gotten the ghostly body, Dhunkari. We see that how Dhunkari was such a sinful person. He drove away his parents, he drove away his chaste wife, brought in many prostitutes, and he was subsequently killed by the prostitutes to get his wealth and got a ghostly body. And we subsequently see that when he petitioned his brother Gokarna, who was a great devotee of the Lord, to help him in this precarious situation, Gokarna arranged the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam for a week. And in that audience, Dhunkari, who was the most fallen of the audience, and in the form of various bamboo sticks which were tied at 7 different places, one by one, each of these knots of material existence was cut off for Dhunkari, and at the end of that recitation, Dhunkari achieved the spiritual world. And similarly, we also see there are many examples of Chitraketu Maharaj, who was in great lamentation and illusion because of the passing away of his son. And just yesterday, we were hearing here from His Grace Devaki Nandan Prabhu that how when Narad Muni, by his spiritual potency, brought the son's dead body back to life, the first question that was asked by the son to Maharaj Chitraketu and Narada Muni is, which exact set of parents are we talking about, my dear Sir Narada Muni? Because in my several lives that I have taken so far, I have had various set of fathers and mothers in each body. So this one particular body I had just left a while ago. This is the set of my parents. But previous life, I had different set of parents. And this one statement by the small child immediately brought Chitraketu out of his disillusionment. And subsequently, he was more receptive to hear from Narada Muni about the ultimate goal of life. And he and his wife, I forgot the name of his wife. Anybody recollects what was Chitraketu's, the principal wife who had begotten the child? It is mentioned in Bhagavatam, I forgot. So both of them, they achieved enlightenment, and subsequently that led to the beginning of the transcendental life for Maharaj Chitraketu, who became a Vidyadhar and subsequently became pure devotee of the Lord. So we see that this process of hearing is recommended as even as a mechanical step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we do it every day, Srila Prabhupada in that purport of the verse Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Srila Prabhupada translates it as daily attending Srimad Bhagavatam classes in the temple. And since COVID time, because of the extensive use of the live streaming platforms like Zoom and so on, we have the privilege of attending Srimad Bhagavatam class even remotely from various temples. So we should definitely take benefit of that, and not just live streaming, but we should also systematically follow this process of hearing. Like I also showed you the pen drive and the OneDrive. So I know the copying of the data on the Google Drive is pending. I will follow up on that, but that is also available for free in a very systematic, one by one, orderly list of those classes. And we should try to genuinely pursue the process of hearing in a systematic way. Not like, of course, even if we do it in a haphazard way, still the benefit will be there. But if we do it in the systematic way, the benefit will be much more, the results will be much more quicker and more effective. So we proceed. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in the subsequent part of the purport how this process of hearing about Lord Krishna's name, form, qualities is the only way by which we can really bring about transformation and peace in the society. And as Srila Prabhupada gives the examples of various politicians, especially it looks like Prabhupada was referring especially to the United Nations, who tried different measures for bringing in peace. I was very intrigued when I was young to hear about the peace force. I said, what exactly these soldiers do when they are deployed by the United Nations as the UN peace force? So do they really preach peace? Not at all. By meaning of peace force, they try to impose peace by military power, military strength, so that the unscrupulous element, they don't create disturbance in that particular area. So that is the meaning of peace force. But Srimad Bhagavatam mentions here, such measures cannot bring about lasting peace, how much ever we try, until and otherwise we introduce the process of hearing about Krishna. Then only the peace will prevail and the fearfulness will also be gone. And in this regard, there is also example, documented proof of anybody recollects either Aishwarya Mataji or other devotees of the place in United States where Srila Prabhupada, he had, basically the devotees had organized Food for Life. And that place was so much troubled because of the knife crimes and so many homicides. Homicides means murders, so many killings. And Prabhupada said that if you simply allow us to hold Krishna Kirtan and freely distribute Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If we simply have the proper distribution, organized distribution of Krishna Prasad and Krishna Kirtan, then this knife crime can immediately be brought under the control. So there are practical examples of this process working. Srila Prabhupada even gives the example of the time of Second World War, and just around that, or I think slightly before that, when there was an outburst of plague in some parts of India, specifically in West Bengal as well. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that people were so afraid to, where their near and dear ones were getting affected, and immediately by the early morning, the disease will be recognized and by late afternoon, the person will even be gone. So it caused such a disturbance, such a fear in the society. And Srila Prabhupada recollects, we read in Lilamrut, that different saintly personalities, they started going in each and every household and each and every gully of Kolkata, and started chanting loudly the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And of course, those who don't have faith can never believe. But the point is, even such disturbance in the society in terms of knife crimes, the outburst of various diseases, or even we hear the example of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, one of the leading disciples of Srila Prabhupada, announcing in Fiji, the place which had not received rainfall for a significantly long period of time at that time, and where the drought was impending, Srila Tamal Krishna Maharaj announced in front of the local journalists that if we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra loudly, if we chant Kirtan loudly, then definitely rain will come, because he had faith in the instruction of Bhagavad Gita that Yagya Bhavati Parjanya. And devotees were very anxious that although principle is very true, what if the rain doesn't come? We will be in a spot, because Maharaj will be gone after a while, but we have to face local people. But Tamal Krishna Maharaj had that conviction, and devotees led Nagar Sankirtan in that particular area. And this very same night, thunderstorm and the pouring rain, it happened. And next day there was a headline in the local newspapers, the Hare Krishnas, the rainmakers. So the point is, this particular process of the hearing and chanting about the holy name of the Lord and about the qualities of the Lord, it can bring about immediate relief, freedom from lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. This has been explained by Srila Vyasadeva. So we proceed. The conclusion is that simply by hearing the Vedic literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, one can have direct connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and thereby one can attain the highest perfection of life by transcending worldly miseries, illusion, and fearfulness. These are practical tests for one who has actually given a submissive hearing to the readings of Srimad Bhagavatam. And whatever examples we quoted, they are very few, but as such, there are many references available in the scriptures, in Srimad Bhagavatam, as well as other writings of Srila Prabhupada, of different people in these conditions of life, including lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. We also saw about, we will be seeing in few verses about the fearful situation of Uttara, who was very afraid for the well-being, for the protection of the child who was in her womb when she saw the Brahmastra being released from Ashwatthama. So all these situations, these devotees have approached Lord Krishna. And if we do that through the medium of Srimad Bhagavatam, we will also be free of these misgivings. Devotees, keep the hands on. So I will ask you now, soon very big purports are coming. So now this is the mitigation step seen by Srila Vyasadeva, and there is a group activity on it, but my request to devotees is we do this quickly, otherwise we'll be stuck here for very long, because we have, ideally we will try to finish this chapter today. Let's see if it is possible. So yes, in this material world, we don't have a material object, there is lamentation. When we have the object, there is attachment. And when we lose the object, then there is a lamentation. Sorry, when we don't have, there is hankering. When we have the object, there is attachment. And when the object is gone, there is lamentation that we have lost it. But all this can be acted upon, counteracted by the process of hearing and chanting. Yes, so this we will come to in a while. I think this philosophical principles from Vyasadev's vision we saw. So I think the next group exercise is a bit later. Now, the sages of Naimisharanya, in this verse it is mentioned that after compiling Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva accepted his own son Shukadev Goswami as the first student of Srimad Bhagavatam from his own self. And his son, the qualifications are mentioned that he was Nivrutti Niratam Muni. That means he was a very liberated personality. The path of Nivrutti Marga, Srila Prabhupada explains as the path of self-realization. From the very beginning of his life, Shukadev Goswami was Nivrutti Niratam Muni. Then the curiosity arises in the sages of Naimisharanya that he was already liberated, why did Shukadev Goswami took the trouble of reciting and learning this vast literature from his own father, Srila Vyasadeva? So we'll request devotees. Gunashri Mataji, you had raised your hand earlier. You want to read through first?
Hare Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, you can read through the highlighted part, Srimad Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentation on the Brahma Sutra compiled by the same author. This Brahma Sutra or the Vedanta Sutra is meant for those who are already engaged in self-realization. Srimad Bhagavatam is so made that one becomes at once engaged in the path of self-realization simply by hearing the topics. Although it is especially meant for the Paramahansas or those who are totally engaged in self-realization, it works into the depths of the hearts of those who may be worldly men. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, ma'am. So we see that Srimad Bhagavatam, although as such it is composed for the Nirmat Saranam Satam, for those who are completely free of envy, the Paramahamsas, still it is equally effective even to people whose hearts are full of material desires, the worldly men. So it acts as the medicine for both the Paramahamsas, for worldly men, as well as anybody in between. So now, as I mentioned, the question came from the sages of Naimisharanya. Sri Shaunaka asked Suta Goswami. Shukadev Goswami was already on the path of self-realization, and thus he was pleased with his own self. So why did he take the trouble to undergo the study of such a vast literature? So in the previous verses, we saw that whoever wants to get free of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness should take to this process of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. But Shukadev Goswami was not in that category. He was a Nivrutta Niratam. He was a Nivrutta Niratam devotee, Nivrutti Niratam devotee from the very beginning of his life. Then why did he take the trouble to study such a vast literature from his father, Srila Vyasadeva? This is the question. Reena Mataji, Hare Krishna. You want to read through?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Everyone is searching after the highest pleasure, but the standard of pleasure of one may be different from the standard of another. Therefore, the standard of pleasure enjoyed by the karmis is different from that of the Atma Ramas. The Atma Ramas are completely indifferent to material enjoyment in every respect. Srila Shukadeva Goswami had already attained that stage, and still he was attracted to undergo the trouble of studying the great Bhagavatam literature. This means that Srimad Bhagavatam is a postgraduate study even for the Atmaramas who have surpassed all the studies of Vedic knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So in the earlier part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains this word Atma Ram. Atma means the self and Aram means one who takes pleasure. That means that person who is not dependent on anything external to be pleased or satisfied in his life. It is just like, say, for example, of course, whatever material examples we give, they have limitations. So don't take it in absolute sense. We give example just to explain a point, but that example may not 100% fit in. Say, for example, if one of us, we go to meet Ambani, Tata, or Birla, or Adani, big corporate, successful businessmen, we cannot please them by offering any material opulence, because first of all, we don't have such material opulence which would really impress them. They already have it in full, at least to a degree which is unimaginable for us. So such persons who are already satisfied based on one particular way of material opulence, it is very difficult to give them anything else where they will be even more satisfied or impressed. Similarly, for Shukadev Goswami, what to speak of money part, one particular part of opulence, he was completely satisfied. So literally, if you have to get work done from somebody, the very basic principle of management is we keep them attracted, motivated by giving them some future state which is much better than their current state. Say, for example, either the person will add value to his own skill set, a person will get a better status of life by earning a very handsome salary, or a person will be able to get a great name and fame for itself, for himself, if he climbs the corporate ladder. So through various of these means, we see the employers attracting and keeping the employees motivated. But here for Shukadev Goswami, externally speaking, there was no motivation which Vyasadeva could have offered for him to be ready to study this vast literature, because he was not at all dependent on anything external. He was already satisfied in his own self. He was a fully realized person from very beginning of his life. Then how, the question from Shaunaka Rishi and the sages of Naimisharanya is, how did Shukadev Goswami develop an interest in studying Srimad Bhagavatam from Srila Vyasadeva? And this particular aspect of the inquiry from the sages of Naimisharanya is being answered in great detail by Suta Goswami by glorifying Lord Krishna. That Lord Krishna, he is not just able to attract those who are in need. Say, he is not just able to attract those who need money, who need influence, who need name and fame, who need lot of followers. These people who are materially motivated, Krishna can definitely attract them. But more than that, Krishna is so attractive, he is so powerful that he can attract the hearts of even those who are completely satisfied in themselves, like Shukadev Goswami. So this verse is very important, 7:10, and we would recite this. Any devotee would like to recite this verse? This is, and please do note it down for our own personal memorization. Devika Shetty Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Prabhu, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Atma Rama, is Krishna is also called Atma Rama, no? In what sense he is meant?
Yes, Lord is also Atmaram. So basically any person, whether the Lord or the pure devotee, who doesn't need any external object for his pleasure is Atmaram. So Lord is also referred to as Atmaram in few places.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, but here the specific discussion is happening about Shukadev Goswami, that he was Atmaram and why did he get attracted to Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Rasa Ragini Radhika. Mataji, your name is Rasa Ragini, right? Or Rasa Ranjani?
Actually, Rasa Rangini.
Rangini, okay. Rangini, okay.
Spelling mistake, I tried to correct. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Mataji. Recite.
Sutta Uvacha Atma
Sutta Uva will follow you.
Ramascha Muniyo Oh, sorry, everybody.
Atma, yeah.
Sorry. Suta Uvacha.
Suta
Suta
Uvacha.
Atma Ramascha Munayo.
Atma Ramascha Munayo.
Nirgrantapi Urukrame.
Nigrantapi
Urukrame.
Kurvanti Ahetukim Bhaktim.
Kurvanti ahaitu bhakti.
Itam Bhuta Guno Hari.
So in this whole chapter, thank you, Mataji. In this whole chapter of chapter number 7, this is the most important verse, and not just in this chapter itself. As we will see in our discussion now, this verse was also shortlisted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his discussions with his various devotees, and how many ways he explained this verse, Atmaram verse. And Srila Prabhupada has extensively written on this particular explanation by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on this specific verse in the book Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So we'll discuss this briefly. You can imagine it is a thick book, giving the summary of different instructions, teachings by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatan Goswami. So let's understand the meaning first. Suta Goswami said, Atma Ramascha Munayo. He is giving the description of Shukadev Goswami. That even if Shukadev Goswami was a Atmaram Muni from the very beginning, and the word Atmaram, we saw the meaning in brief, but this is again explained in great detail in the purport by Srila Prabhupada based on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's explanation. That he was a self-satisfied, he was a Muni from the very beginning of his life, but even such Atmarams who are Nirgrantha. Nirgrantha means it's devoid of any deceit. That is the word Srila Prabhupada. One who is liberated from nescience. So such persons, what happens to them? Who are free from nescience, api means even such persons, they get attracted to urukrame. Urukrame means one whose activities are wonderful, they are out of the world. Especially this word is used for Lord Vamanadev. So the activities of Lord Krishna even attract such persons who are Atmaram, who are Muni, who are Nirgrantha. Kurvanti ahaitukim bhaktim itham bhuta guno harihi. For such persons also to become attracted to unalloyed devotional service to Lord Hari, such are the wonderful qualities of Lord Krishna that he can attract even such persons who have no attraction for anything in this material world, who are completely self-satisfied. Radhika Mataji, you can read through the translation.
Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Suta Goswami said, all different varieties of Atma Ramas, those who take pleasure in Atma or spirit self, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto personality of Godhead Krishna. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, the background to this verse, the significance of this verse in terms of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, explaining it in different ways. He, in principle, explained the Atmaram verse to Srila Sanatan Goswami, which was explanation in 61 different ways Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained. And another great devotee, of course, he was not fully pure devotee that time, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. But after hearing from Mahaprabhu, his explanation, Mahaprabhu's explanation of Atmaram verse, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya could immediately understand Lord Chaitanya's position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna and surrendered himself to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we'll see both of these. And we had few hands raised. Sorry, devotees again. Who was the other devotee other than Reena Mataji? Yeah, so keep your hands raised. Dhanya Dhameshwari Mataji, Hare Krishna. You can read the following summary, the first paragraph.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
The
Krishna.
following summary of this chapter is given by Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakura in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya. According to Sri Sanatana Goswami's request, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the well-known Srimad Bhagavatam verse beginning Atma Ramasya Munayah. He explained this verse in 61 different ways. He analyzed all the words and described each word with its different connotations. Adding the words cha and api, he described all the different meanings of the verse. He then concluded that different classes of transcendentalists, jnanis, karmis, yogis, utilize this verse according to their own interpretation. But if they would give up this process and surrender to Krishna, as indicated by the verse itself, they would be able to comprehend the real meaning of the verse. In this regard, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu narrated a story about how the great sage Narada converted a hunter into a great Vaishnava and how this was appreciated by Narada's friend Parvata Muni. Sanatana Goswami then offered a prayer to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. After this, the Lord gave Sanatana Goswami a synopsis of Haribhakta Vilasa, which Sanatana Goswami later developed into the guiding principle of all Vaishnavas. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So, before we go to the Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's conversation with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, based on what Prabhupada has mentioned here, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he broke down the verse in 11 different words. So we will see which are those words, and for each of those 11 different words, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave different explanations so that Sanatan Goswami thoroughly understands the meaning of this verse. So let's go back to the text. So the purport is long. We won't read it as a purport, but we will try to analyze it based on the explanation by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So first, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this verse, he broke it down into 11 different words, which are these: Atma Rama, then Munaya. Atma Ram, he gave various explanations which are there in the purport. Then Munaya, then Nirgrantha, Api, Cha, Urukrama, Purvanti Ahaitukim Bhaktim, Itham Bhuta Gunaha, and then Harihi. These 11 words Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the various meanings of the word Atma to mean how it means Brahman. It also refers to the spirit soul. It refers to one's body, mind, endeavor, endurance, intelligence, personal habits. So this is a very in detail explanation. Then the qualifications of Shukadev Goswami, who is referred to as Muni. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained Muni as those who are thoughtful, who are grave and silent, who are ascetics, who are persistent, mendicants, sages, and saints. And such saintly persons, they are nirgrantha. That means they are completely free from nescience, liberated from nescience, and they have no connection. One who has no connection with scriptural injunction, meaning they have already crossed the level of scriptural rules and regulations. They are freed from the obligations of the rules and regulations mentioned in the revealed scriptures like ethics, Vedas, philosophy, and da. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is basically explaining to Sanatan Goswami that even such a person who is completely self-satisfied, completely free from nescience, completely beyond the obligation to follow rules and regulations, they also, what do? They also become attracted to the name, description of the name and activities of Urukrama, of the Supreme Lord Krishna. And then we proceed. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains further that such self-realized souls, Atmaramas, they get attracted to performing the pure devotional service solely for the pleasure of Krishna, for the pleasure of Urukrama. And there is no other material cause for such persons to be attracted to the service of Lord Krishna. And what are the material causes? He explains, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains. He says, just like for karmis, what is the cause for a karmi to render devotional service? Prabhuji's, Mataji's, you can unmute. let me ask from the devotee, don't worry about being wrong. Sanjukta Mataji, Hare Krishna. What attracts the karmi to render service to Lord Krishna?
Fruits of their activities.
Fruity action, Prabhu.
Yes, fruitive activities. Basically, they want to enjoy based on the results of their karma. So, but Krishna is fine with that as well. So, but that is still considered as a personal benefit. So similarly for karmis, the next is for jnanis. What attracts a jnani to render service?
Knowledge.
Knowledge, yes. And beyond, what do they want to achieve by that process of knowledge? They want to achieve
Salvation.
Sorry, come again, Mataji.
Salvation.
Mukti.
So yeah, basically different types of liberation, yes. So Sayujya Mukti, which is merging into the existence of the Lord, yes, liberation is what attracts the jnanis to engage on the path of transcendence. So karmis is the fruitive activities, jnanis is liberation, and yogis, what attracts the yogis to the path of
mystic power.
Yes, all 8 types of yogic mystic powers, including anima, mahima, and anima, lagima, mahima, and all the 8 types of mystic siddhis. Basically, becoming smaller than the smallest, becoming greater than the greatest, and understanding other person's mind, creating wonderful things like planets and all sitting in one place. So all these things, which are still considered material achievements, they attract the yogis. So all these 3 types of people, the karmis, the yogis, and the jnanis, they also take to the path of transcendence, but their hetu, their motivation is considered as material cause. It is considered as causal. They have some cause to take the path of transcendence. But such nirgranthas, such Atmarama, such munis, they take to the process of devotional service not for any such personal benefits. They take it solely for the pleasure of the Lord. Therefore, the unalloyed devotion means service to the Lord without desire for above mentioned personal benefits, either material sense enjoyment or liberation or mystic powers. And powerful personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, can be fully satisfied by such unalloyed devotees, by such Atmaramas who take to devotional service solely for Krishna satisfaction, for no personal benefit. By such unalloyed devotees, free from all sorts of desires for personal benefit. One second, I won't read through the purport as it is because it will become otherwise very monotonous. Yes, and then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada gives the examples of various devotees who apparently came from these categories of either being a karmi or either being a jnani or either being a yogi. Can we think of a devotee who came from karmi, like basically the fruitive activities background? That was his aspiration. Who was the devotee?
Dhruv Maharaj.
Dhruv Maharaj, Prabhuji.
Yes, Dhruva Maharaj. And for jnanis?
Sanat Kumara.
Yes, the example in front of us, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, Sanat Kumar. These 4 brothers, they were jnanis. And Prabhupada explains in the purport. And yogis, any person from yogis side?
Navendra, some yogis.
Navayogendras were great devotees, Mataji. They are mentioned as the great devotees. They basically, at least I have not heard, correct me if I'm wrong, that they were earlier aspiring for yogic siddhis. Any personality who was aspiring for yogic siddhis who came to Krishna?
Prabhuji, Durvasa Muni?
Durvasa Muni, but we don't hear, of course, we hear about he coming to his senses, realizing his mistake, but we don't quote example of Durvasa Muni as a pure devotee. We can understand example of Vishwamitra, who wanted to basically attain a yogic siddhi in his conflict with Vasishta Rishi, Vasishta Muni, and for which he performed very, very severe types of austerities. But Vishwamitra is definitely mentioned as one of the example of a devotee who was completely transformed. Maybe there are many more. We just don't recollect too many examples of the persons, transcendentalists coming to Krishna with the intention of getting yogic power. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, maybe we'll ask one of the devotees to read through. Tarini Krishna Kanta Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams.
Dandavat.
Great sages such as the four bachelor devotees Sanaka, Sanatana, Sananda, and Sanat Kumara were attracted by the fragrance of flowers and tulasi leaves, anointed with the pulp of sandalwood, offered at the lotus feet of the Lord. Similarly, Sukadeva Goswami was attracted by the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Sukadeva Goswami was already situated in the liberated stage, yet he was attracted by the pastimes of the Lord. This proves that the quality of his pastimes has nothing to do with material affinity. Similarly, the young cowherd damsels were attracted by the bodily features of the Lord, and Rukmini was attracted by hearing about the glories of the Lord. Lord Krishna attracted even the mind of the goddess of fortune. He attracts in special cases the minds of all young girls. He attracts the minds of the elderly ladies by parental affection. He attracts the minds of the males in the humors of servitude and friendship.
Yes, thank you, Manj. So the characteristic of Lord Krishna, where he has the power to attract each and every living entity, including somebody of the caliber of Shukadev Goswami, who has nothing to give and take with anything material. So even such a liberated souls, Lord Krishna can attract by his qualities. And subsequently, Prabhupada gives the significance of the word Hari, that how Hari means he takes away everything that is inauspicious. He vanquishes everything inauspicious and takes away the mind of the devotee by avoiding pure transcendental love. By remembering the Lord in acute distress, one can be free from all varieties of miseries and anxieties. And we see examples of so many devotees, like in 12th, we had Pali language, which was during the time of Lord Buddha. And even Lord Buddha, who is an incarnation of Lord Krishna, one of the 10 principal incarnations. There are examples of so many persons in acute distress. Like we had the story of this lady. What was her name? I know the name, but just now I forgot. Like who lost all her children, all her relatives in different mishaps, and she was so much in misery that she became completely almost mad. And then she surrendered to Lord Buddha, and he was able to give her shelter, enlighten, and make her into, subsequently she became a great devotee as well. So that is the power of the Lord, that just by remembering him, one's acute distress can be immediately extinguished. By his personal features and transcendental attributes, the Lord attracts all psychological activities of a pure devotee. Such is the attractive power of Lord Krishna. The attraction is so powerful that a pure devotee never hankers for any one of the four principles of religion. These are the attractive features of the transcendental attributes of the Lord. That means any other topmost thing in this material world, including the four principles of religion, none of them attract. Meaning, a devotee is not really hindered by even the moral principles. That if a particular wish of Lord Krishna is to act in a particular way, then that becomes the pramana for a devotee. Of course, we cannot misuse this point to drive our own mental speculations and agenda. But for a devotee, the preliminary most important thing is pleasing the Supreme Lord. In this regard, I recollect the example of this great devotee of Srila Ramanujacharya, who was a poor person staying in a village. And I'll just mention the story very briefly. We have seen this story earlier in detail. That once Ramanujacharya visits the place which is near Tirupati, while he was on the way to Tirupati with many of his disciples, and this devotee couple who were the disciples of Sri Ramanujacharya, they were from the material perspective very poor. So the lady did not even have proper clothing to cover herself, and she was hiding within the cottage. And when Ramanujacharya knocked on the cottage to see if there is anyone at home, she immediately responded, but seeing her condition that she is not able to come out because of her shyness, she doesn't have proper clothing to cover, Ramanujacharya threw his upper garment for the lady to cover herself. And subsequently, she was very elated, very happy to see her guru coming along with all his disciples. And they did not have anything at home. So, but she had a great desire to satisfy her guru and all his devotees by feeding them nice prasadam. So she immediately went to a merchant's place in the village, who was a very lusty person with unscrupulous intentions, and who used to lust after this lady. And she committed to that businessman. Though she was a very chaste woman, she said, I will completely fulfill all your desires, but you please give me all the ingredients so that I can cook for my Guru Maharaj who has come to our place, and I will come to you afterwards. And the person was very happy that so long this lady was not at all responding to my advances, how come she immediately became ready? So he gave all the ingredients so that she could cook a very nice feast. And when the husband arrived, basically Ramanujacharya and all his disciples, they go to take bath, come back, and she is serving very nice prasadam to everyone. And when the husband arrives, he is also very elated to see his guru, all the devotees. And after Ramanujacharya and all the devotees have honored prasadam, at a place in the house, the husband asks the wife that, how did you manage to arrange everything? And she, very in an awkward, embarrassing way, mentions to the husband that I committed myself to this businessman in return for all the ingredients so that I could cook for our spiritual master. And immediately the husband glorifies his wife. He does not condemn her, that you are the most pure and you are the most chaste, because you considered the service to the spiritual master as the topmost priority, even more than the normal regulatory principle of remaining chaste. And subsequently, it so happened that Ramanujacharya comes to know how the poor lady arranged for all the ingredients, and he gives his own Mahaprasad to be given to the merchant. And by honoring the Mahaprasad of Sri Ramanujacharya, the merchant's heart completely gets transformed, and he immediately surrenders himself to both the lady as well as to Ramanujacharya. So the point is, what was the point we were discussing? Hang on now. Yeah, how for such a pure devotee of the Lord, none of the moral principles of this material world attract them when compared to pleasing Lord Krishna and also in turn pleasing his pure devotees. Any questions, comments, Prabhuji's, Mataji's on this specific verse? What is the meaning and what all we saw? So the purport is a bit long, but we took only few parts so as to explain the meaning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. One small doubt on couple of areas. That subdivision where they are telling that Krishna is attracted by many things, many features, and so Lord Lakshmi, it's put mind, right, Prabhu? Can you explain that part of it?
Sorry, come
Rukmini
again.
Mataji,
yeah.
No, Rukmini hearing that I understood, because Krishna never sees Rukmini at all. Sorry, Rukmini never sees Krishna, so it's through hearing. But Lakshmi, it is put, she is attracted by the mind, right?
Yes, so Lord Krishna attracts even the mind of the goddess of fortune. So regarding this, there comes a story in Lord Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes that when Lord Krishna was holding Rasa Leela at Vamshivat throughout the night of Lord Brahma for that long a duration, many great devotees, including Narada Muni, including Lord Shiva, including Lakshmi ji herself, they also became attracted to participate in this wonderful pastime of Lord Krishna. But the gopis were basically guarding the area of Rasilila, especially who is the in charge of Lord's pastimes in Vrindavan? What is the devotee's name?
Vrunda Devi.
Purnamasi.
Purnamasi. So these devotees were responsible for guiding Lord's pastime, and it is explained that all these different devotees, including Lord Shiva, including Narada Muni, including Lakshmi ji, they were asked to follow certain steps. Like Narada Muni, if I remember correctly, he was asked to bathe in Kusuma Sarovar, and then he became Naradiya Gopi. Lord Shiva, he was also asked to take bath in a particular Sarovar, and he also attained the form of the Gopi. And Lakshmi ji, it is mentioned that she performed tapasya for a great duration of time to be able to participate in this pastime. So based on connecting with Srila Prabhupada's commentary in that particular episode, I believe that is what he is referring to. Lord Krishna attracts the mind even of Lakshmi ji towards him.
Got it, Prabhu. So on that pastime, and also the gopis were attracted by his bodily features. Were actually the devotees attracted by his bodily features?
Yes. So it is mentioned that different devotees were attracted to Lord by different motivation, and specifically for gopis, it is mentioned. Now, don't get shocked, but this is mentioned in the Srila Prabhupada's writing as well as in Srimad Bhagavatam. The gopis were attracted to Lord Krishna by lusty desires. But because their attraction and their absorption in Krishna was 24/7 and most intense, they were all purified. They did not, that attraction was not on the material platform. But yes, they were attracted to Lord Krishna by lusty desires.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other, and one more important point, because we are on this particular point, but vice versa is not true. That means Krishna did satisfy the gopis because of their complete surrender to himself, but he was not, he is completely self-satisfied. So as we said, he is not dependent on any other person, any other entity, any other object in this world for his satisfaction. We see even in the Rasa dance, when Srimati Radharani and gopis, they were for few moments slightly, they develop pride that Krishna is with us, and Krishna disappeared. That part also comes as part of the Rasa dance. So the point is, Krishna also demonstrated his own opulence of renunciation, that while he is reciprocating with the pure love of his devotees, if there is slight traces of misgivings here and there, he immediately corrects them without any hesitation. Any other question, comments, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So there are few comments. Gunashri Mataji, Kisha Gotami. I did not understand this. You can unmute.
Prabhuji, you were asking about the Buddha story.
Which story?
The Buddha story.
Buddha. Oh, okay. No. I remember the name, but from my Pali course, this is not the name that I. What is the name? I'll tell the group, Mataji, once I remember. Not this. So any other points, Prabhuji's? Is this verse clear? This is a very important verse, Atmaram verse, and you can know when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining it in 61 ways, it must carry significance. Otherwise, he won't spend that much time and effort. Now, let us come to the interaction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with another devotee who was a Brahmavadi. So, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya was the priest of the king of Orissa, Maharaj Pratap Rudra. And it is explained that how different great personalities from Krishna Leela, from the spiritual world, they also appeared in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime. Similarly, Brahaspati himself, it is mentioned that he appeared as Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. That means he is very knowledgeable in the knowledge of the scriptures. But through each of these personalities, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us something. So this verse, Atma Ramascha Munayo, we saw. We'll go through this conversation between Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After hearing the Atmaram verse, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya addressed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. My dear sir, please explain this verse. I have a great desire to hear your explanation of it. So basically, this is following the conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is allowing Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to show his scholarship of the Vedic scriptures in order to subsequently make him into a devotee, because there was a misgiving in Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's heart where he was not exactly a pure devotee, he was a Brahmavadi. And we will see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu transformed the heart of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. The Lord replied, that means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, first, let me hear your explanation. After that, I shall try to explain what little I know. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then began to explain the Atmaram verse, and according to the principles of logic, he put forward various propositions. The Bhattacharya explained the Atmaram verse in 9 different ways on the basis of scripture. After hearing his explanation, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, smiling a little, began to speak. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was a Brahmavadi, he used various explanations of the scriptures, not from the pure devotional point of view, but to give his explanations in 9 different ways. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he does. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, my dear Bhattacharya, you are exactly like Brahaspati, the priest of the heavenly kingdom. Indeed, no one within this world has the power to explain the scriptures in such a way like you. My dear Bhattacharya, you have certainly explained this verse by the prowess of your vast learning, but you should know that besides this scholarly explanation, there is another purport to this verse. So first time, a personality like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was Sakshat Brahaspati himself, very scholarly, he had heard this feedback from any person that whatever you explain is okay, but there is a further to this specific point than what you have understood. And what is the response of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya? See this carefully. Upon the request of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, hang on now. Yeah. So what happens basically is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is stunned. Srila Prabhupada mentions it in different explanation of this particular episode. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a bit stunned to hear this feedback from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was taken aback slightly. And then he requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, okay, my explanation is not perfect. Can you please explain? And then upon the request of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to explain this verse without touching upon any of the 9 explanations given by Bhattacharya. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself explained this verse in 11 different ways without touching upon any of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's previous explanation. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained each word in this verse. We saw 11 words. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu completely broke it down to explain properly. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took each word specifically and combined it with the word Atmaram. He thus explained the word Atmaram in 18 different ways. My apologies, not 11 different ways, 18 different ways. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his different potencies and his transcendental qualities all have inconceivable prowess. It is not possible to explain them fully. These 3 items, which 3 items? The Lord, his different potencies and his transcendental qualities. These 3 have the unlimited prowess to attract anyone and everyone. These 3 items attract the mind of a perfect student engaged in spiritual activities and overcome all the processes of spiritual activity. And now you understand the reaction of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Upon hearing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's explanation of the Atmaram verse, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was struck with wonder. He then understood Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be Krishna himself in person, and he thus condemned himself in following words. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya could immediately understand that that person who is able to challenge my scholarship and is able to explain so nicely, he must be Lord Krishna himself. Nobody in this material world can really do this, because similar to Keshav Kashmiri, another great scholar who was blessed by Saraswati, we see Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was also a specially empowered personality. So somebody overwhelming his scholarship must be the Supreme Lord, and thus he understood his own fallen situation, that he tried to show his scholarship in front of Supreme Lord himself. His own realization is mentioned. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is certainly Lord Krishna himself. Because I could not understand him and was very proud of my own learning, I have committed many offenses. And then subsequently, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he completely surrendered to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he became great devotee of the Lord. And subsequently, there is a further incidence. What happens is, after a few days, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very early in the morning, he comes to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, bringing Jagannath's Mahaprasad. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya at that time had just woken up from his sleep, and he had not even washed his mouth, had not even taken his bath, and all these things. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offers Lord Jagannath's Mahaprasad to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he immediately accepts the Mahaprasad. And Mahaprabhu asks Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that, my dear Bhattacharya, you are such a learned scholar, you know that a person should not accept food before we clean our mouth, we clean ourselves thoroughly, we worship the Lord. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya counteracted Mahaprabhu by glorifying Lord Jagannath's Mahaprasad by quoting from the scripture that there are few exceptions, and Lord Jagannath's Mahaprasad, when we receive it, we should honor it immediately without any worldly restrictions, worldly customs and constraints. We should immediately honor it, considering it as the mercy of the Lord. And when Mahaprabhu sees this transformation in Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he says that my purpose of coming to this earth to preach the glories of the Lord is already fulfilled when I see that you have transformed. And later on, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya himself glorifies the Lord that, my dear Lord, you have transformed such great scholarly persons like Keshav Kashmiri and so many others. That is not so wonderful. What is wonderful is you have transformed a stone-like heart of a person like me, whose heart was like a dry cake, dry oil cake. So I don't know what is it called in other languages. In India, after the oil is extracted from the groundnuts, they form something from the remaining residual, which is used as a very nutritious diet for the cattle. So that is called as dry oil cake.
Yes,
so, sir,
same thing.
It's
Only.
called meal,
Yeah.
meal, Prabhu.
Same thing only, Prabhu. Dry oil.
Yeah. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya mentioned to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that my heart was like a dry oil cake, and you have transformed that by your mercy upon me. So that carries a very significance, because I was not easily to be transformed by anybody else because of my being proud of my scholarship. So we see, coming back to our verse today, this is such a significant verse which has been taught so elaborately by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his great devotee like Sanatan Goswami. And this verse has also transformed the heart of such a great scholar, Brahmavadi scholar, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and made him into great devotee. So I took some time on this. We will take a pause here to see if there are any questions, comments by devotees. Have we gotten the meaning, the significance of this verse, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Any questions? Hare Krishna. Ajit, Tiwari, Prabhu, Gita, Pradeep Mataji, Sanjukta Mataji, or anybody else?
Prabhuji, this 18 ways which Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained, is it somewhere available?
Yes, it is available in the, I believe in the Madhya Leela. You can refer to chapter 15. Okay?
Yes, but in the Madhya it is there.
Yeah, Madhya Leela Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay, we
Okay,
can
Hare
get,
Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
go through Srila Prabhupada's purport. It's very purifying. But again, let's finish Srimad Bhagavad Gita nicely, Bhagavatam nicely, and Chaitanya Charitamrita also study systematically. But for our own reference, this section we can refer to. So let's proceed, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. Now, some part of Bhagavatam I will be going bit quickly, so don't get bogged down because of the varying speed. You can go through some verses on your own. So these all different points we saw from the Atmaram verse. Yeah, here I have given the details to the what we saw. Sanjukta Mataji, Gita Pradeep Mataji, any question you have?
Prabhuji, one question, Prabhuji.
Yeah, yes, Prema.
In those
Yeah.
11 factors mentioned by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it also includes api and cha, na Prabhuji? Api and cha. Atmarama.
Yeah, yes. I noticed that. Actually, yes, very nice observation that some of the words Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took in his explanation, if we see the verse as such, the core verse, I also noticed this point. 1 second. Yeah. Yes, Mataji, go ahead. What is the question?
Yeah, the question is, Atmarama is first, second, Munaya, Nirgrantha, then api cha, urukrama. Why api and cha have come there, Prabhuji? Api
Yeah,
and
so cha means even Atmaramas. It is to glorify Lord Krishna's prowess of attracting anybody and everybody. That means he is not able to only even attract the Tom, Dick and Harry, but he is able to attract personalities even like Atmaramas, like Shukadev Goswami, who are 1 second, Atmaramascha Muni. Nirgrantha api means api and cha means even such persons, Mataji.
in spite of,
In spite of, despite of. What
I was
is
wondering
that?
how that came into the description because it's I was confused with those two terms, Prabhuji. How
Also,
they were included in this? Others are okay. Others are fine, Prabhuji. Api and cha was just
okay.
They have listed 4 and 5, number 4 and 5.
Yes, 1 second. Yeah, yes, Hare Krishna. So even Atmaramas are attracted to Lord Krishna, rendering unalloyed devotional service to Lord Krishna. So we proceed now. Very important part is coming, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. I will go to the general principle. Yeah. So this maybe we can have as a homework and we will request devotees to speak on this when we start next session. Okay. I want to proceed now. Yeah, here we will take maybe 2 minutes to. So just like we saw a very important verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Atmaram verse, which has been given a lot of focus explanation by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Similarly, and of course, the answer to this question is there is no one single correct answer. As long as you are able to give explanation properly, we will accept that answer. Can you think of any specific verse from Srila Prabhupada's writing? And you need not know a lot of verses. Whatever verses we have studied, we have learned, we have by-hearted. Can you think of any specific verse which you feel, of course, we don't know Srila Prabhupada's mind, but which you feel is pertinent to Srila Prabhupada's life and ISKCON's mission? You can maybe take few minutes to think, you can Google it, and then when you explain the significance, why you feel the chosen verse is pertinent to Srila Prabhupada's life and ISKCON's mission. Is the exercise clear, Prabhuji's, Mataji's?
Yes, sir.
And we would request every devotee to participate. There are quite a few devotees who have not spoken today. So expect for me to ask those devotees to speak up. Okay. If I start taking name, we'll spend a lot of time. Mannat Mataji is there, Mamta Nagvekar Mataji, Lalita Vinodini Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So give 2 minutes to think, and maybe we won't be able to ask each and everybody, but we will at least ask 3 to 4 devotees to give your understanding. Shama Gopika Mataji, Usha Kamat Mataji, Rajiv Sondur Prabhu, and other devotees. Venkata Narasimha Prabhuji. And after you have chosen the verse, think few points why you feel this verse is pertinent to Srila Prabhupada's life and teachings. And then keep few points noted. Then we will ask you to unmute. So let's give 1 or 2 more minutes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. When you are ready, you can raise the hand. So I know we are ready. Murli Kari Prabhu, Rohini Mataji, everybody please raise hand. Even if you say Hare Krishna Mahamantra, that is not a wrong answer, as long as you are able to give supporting points. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Krishna, Krishna, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. We have 3 devotees who have raised their hands. Maybe we'll wait for 1 or 2 more devotees to raise. Okay. All right. So we have 5 devotees now. Let's see. Okay. And others also can think and note it down. It's good to understand our understanding of Srila Prabhupada. Maybe we'll start with Sada Tushta Achyuta Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam to all the devotees. Prabhuji, when I think about this particular activity, first sloka which comes to my mind is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Sloka 6. It says,
1 to 6.
It says, Save Pumsa Paro Dharmo Yato Bhakti Adokshaje Ahituki Aprati Yata Yayatma Suprasiddhati. So this entire sloka, whatever it says, the supreme occupation of the humanity is that by which a man can attain loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So looking at Srila Prabhupada and his life, he has exhibited every aspects of this all through his life, and he has encouraged all of us to live our life in this way. That is, he has taught us by his own activities, the way he lived his life, that devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the highest dharma, highest religion. That is how he has lived. And more importantly, ahituki apratihata, unmotivated and uninterrupted. He had no other motivation other than serving his Guru and serving the Lord, and uninterrupted, irrespective of whatever challenges he has to go through, it was never interrupted. And he has attained that satisfaction only by serving his Guru as well as Gauranga. So with this is what I feel, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you, Sada Tushta Prabhu. Very wonderful explanation that Srila Prabhupada encouraged devotees from different walks of life. He did not reject anyone. Even a drunkard who came to him in London asking that he cannot give up his drinking, Srila Prabhupada did not reject him. Srila Prabhupada said, okay, if you can't give up the drinking, at least before you drink, understand that the taste that you relish in this drink is Lord Krishna. So he encouraged people from all walks of life to engage in devotional service. we'll have few more devotees. Vipin Vilas Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam.
Dandas.
Actually, this Srila Prabhupada's life was like completely devoted to the Lord Krishna's service, you know. So for that, with reference to 9.22, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Paryupasate Tesam Nitya Bhiyuktanam Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam. So in every matlab, in the worst condition also, the Srila Prabhupada has never it was 100% faith on the Lord Krishna, and whatever his spiritual master has instructed, so in every aspect, like while traveling to the Jaladuta also, he was praying. That prayer was also very, very well known. So I believe that this is the matlab, yoga kshemam vahamam. So whatever decided by that he has done. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. That means whatever a devotee has, Krishna will preserve, and whatever a devotee lacks, Krishna will arrange if it is required for achieving spiritual perfection. So Prabhupada had complete faith that the Lord will arrange. Thank you, Vipin Vilas Prabhuji. We'll have few more devotees. I'll specifically ask those who have not spoken. Rohini Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
So I am referring to 1.2.7 Srimad Bhagavatam. So Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yad Ahaitukam. Here actually, like how ISKCON and Prabhupada are connected is by rendering devotional service to Krishna, he immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment. So in ISKCON, we and Prabhupada, they never say that you have to leave all the family and work and everything and go and pray to God in a lonely place. Rather, they say you do your work, but along with that, you do the spiritual, the devotional service to God, and by this you will soon, acquire knowledge as well as detachment that is needed to go back to Krishna. I think everybody in ISKCON, including Prabhupada, has walked the talk of this particular shloka.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. In fact, this example of a lady from Australia who came to Srila Prabhupada complaining about her husband not being very supportive in Krishna consciousness and asking her to, in fact, that was a very extreme case where he was asking her to cook meat and all. Srila Prabhupada did not ask that lady to abandon the husband. He said, you continue serving, but you also continue your Krishna consciousness. And at some level, Krishna will definitely arrange the circumstance where you will be able to practice more favorably. So as Mataji rightly mentioned, he did not encourage, even there were other personalities like Allen Ginsberg, not Allen Ginsberg, George Harrison, who wanted to dedicate himself as a full-time devotee, and Srila Prabhupada stopped him. He said, you can do such a nice service in your own profession if you serve Krishna in that particular way. And subsequently, since Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, George Harrison, Srila Prabhupada pointed out, became the person who inspired millions of people to come to know about Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that all those people would have lost on knowing Hare Krishna Mahamantra if not for Srila Prabhupada's vision of engaging George Harrison's talent in Krishna's service. So maybe we'll have two more devotees. Shama Gopika Mataji, Hare Krishna. You can unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yeah. So initially, I was going to tell about the verse SB 1.26, which was already taken. Savaipam Samparudam. Yeah. So actually, Prabhu, there are like many verses which describe the great qualities of the devotees who are like fully surrendered. And out of that, from Bhagavad Gita, like 12.13 verse also, It's
which one? Repeat again number.
12.13.
13. Okay.
Yeah. Adveshta sarvabhutanam maitra karuna eva cha nirmamo nirahankaraha samadukha sukha kshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nishchayah mayarpita mano buddhir yomad bhakta same priyaha. So I feel like Prabhupada has these qualities which makes him very dear to Krishna. So the translation says that one who is not envious, but one who is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor, who is free from false ego and equal both in happiness and distress, who is always satisfied and engaged in devotional service with determination, and whose mind and intelligence are in agreement with me, he is very dear to me. So,
Yes.
yeah.
So, such a devotee is kind to all kinds of living entities. One example we can see is Srila Prabhupada's very dear disciple Jayananda Prabhu, that after Jayananda Prabhu passed away, even the drunkards and drug addicts and so many people from different walks of life, they used to still remember him as a very jolly person, and they could understand Krishna consciousness is something very nice because of the very pleasant demeanor and interaction of Jayananda Prabhu with them. So such a devotee is always kind to all types of living entities. And in Prabhupada's life, we also see about Prabhupada once asking a devotee to take an insect which was lying very quiet in his room for a very long period of time and put that insect on a leaf so that Prabhupada could feel that the insect has not eaten for a very long time and is probably hungry and not having much energy left. So such a pure devotee of the Lord is not just careful to just the devotee community, but he is friend to all living entities. So maybe we'll take one more devotees, Prabhuji's Mataji. Those who don't get a chance, please don't feel discouraged. Okay, let me see. Ajit Tiwari Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Please
Hare
unmute.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, there is one verse in 10.18 Bhagavad Gita, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti mattam bhajante ma buddha bhava samanvita. So here Krishna says that he is the source and the source of all spiritual and material worlds, Prabhuji. So the Srila Prabhupada's mission was to establish the Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So which is very much in line with the Krishna's declaration in Bhagavad Gita. And also his mission was to present the message of Krishna to without any adulteration, as it is. So and secondly, that Srila Prabhupada wanted to educate that the real happiness is the serving in Krishna consciousness. So these are all the missions and the mode of Srila Prabhupada, Prabhuji, what I feel.
Thank you, Ajit Tiwari Prabhuji. So now we come back to the slide. I still wanted to cover a few more points today. Let's see. So this particular verse, this particular section, concluding with the Atmaram verse, concludes the second unit of Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, which is about the instruction of Narada Muni to Srila Vyasadeva. Basically, this comes as part of the history of Bhagavatam, how Srila Vyasadeva got the inspiration to write Srimad Bhagavatam. And we saw the detailed conversation between Narada Muni and Vyasadeva, where Narada Muni talked about his own past life and also based on the teachings of Narada Muni, Vyasadev's realization, including having darshan of the Lord, including considering Srimad Bhagavatam as the mitigation for the miseries of living entities caused by the material energy. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then subsequently, we found the answer by Suta Goswami, how Lord Krishna attracts even the liberated personalities, self-satisfied personalities, Atmarams, like Shukadev Goswami. And such attraction by the Lord for all these Atmarams, then in turn inspires them to render unalloyed devotional service to Lord Krishna. So now the next part, which comes is, so next, basically, as part of history of Srimad Bhagavatam, the sages of Naimisharanya, they wanted to understand about Shukadev Goswami. They wanted to understand about the author, Srila Vyasadeva, how he got the inspiration, and they wanted to understand about appearance of Bhagavatam, which was through the hearer, Parikshit Maharaj. So they also wanted to understand about the birth, activities, and subsequent glorious departure of Maharaj Parikshit. So we'll recite this verse and then we come to the slide. Okay, I think this slide has got repeated. All right, let's go through the verse once. Any devotee would like to recite text 12? Vipin Vilas Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. You can unmute. I don't know whether Prabhuji has any issue with unmuting. Lalita Vinodini Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Parikshito ata rajarsher.
Parikshito ata rajarsher.
Janma karma vilapanam.
Janma karma vilapanam.
Samstam cha panduputranam.
Samstam cha panduputranam.
Vakshe Krishna katodayam.
Vakshe Krishna katodayam. So now Suta Goswami is moving to the next section of Canto 1, which is about Rajarshi Parikshit Maharaj's Janma Karma Vilapanam, his birth, his activities, and his deliverance, subsequent departure. Samstham cha Pandu Putranam Vakshe Krishna Kathodayam. So these activities of Maharaj Parikshit are mentioned as, if we see the transcendental, as transcendental, I'm just saying, where is the transcendental word here? Anybody sees? Yes. Krishna Katha Udayam. So why these activities are called as transcendental? Because the narration of such pastimes of Lord's devotees, it invariably brings discussion about the name, fame, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord. Like we saw a while ago, when Shukadeva Goswami's description was happening, that he was already a Nivritta Nirata devotee from very beginning of his life. Then why did he take interest in studying Srimad Bhagavatam, such a vast literature? Immediately the answer related to Lord Krishna's prowess in attracting everybody and anybody. So these devotees' life narrations are considered also transcendental because ultimately they result in Krishna Katha Udayam. That means they result about discussion about Lord Krishna's glories. So that's why one such devotee is mentioned here as Rajarshi Parikshit, and his birth, activities, overall life is glorious because it also leads to Krishna Kathot Dayam. It also results in discussing about Lord Krishna. It gives rise to the transcendental narration of Krishna. So it is transcendental. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport, yes, there is a class of less intelligent people. Anybody would like to read through this part? Murli Prabhu, you are comfortable? You want to read through? If your connection is working good. Or other devotees who have not spoken at all. There are many. Ananda Prada Indulekha Mataji, Divya Rukmini Mataji.
Sure, Prabhuji.
Yeah, yes, Mataji.
Suta Goswami thus addressed the rishis headed by Shaunaka. Now I shall begin the transcendental narration of the Lord Shri Krishna and the topics of the birth, activities and deliverance of King Parikshit, the sage amongst kings, as well as topics of the renunciation of the worldly ordered by the sons of Pandu.
Yes, and you can directly read the portion starting with, there is a class of less intelligent.
There is a class of less intelligent devotees of the Bhagavad Purana who desire to relish at once the activities of the Lord narrated in the 10th canto without first understanding the primary cantos. They are under the false impression that the other cantos are not connected with Krishna, and thus more foolishly than intelligently they take to the reading of the 10th canto. These readers are specifically told herein that the other cantos of the Bhagavatam are as important as the 10th canto. No one should try to go into the matters of the 10th canto without having thoroughly understood the purport of the other 9 cantos. Krishna and his pure devotees, like the Pandavas, are on the same plane. Krishna is not without his devotees of all the rasas, and the pure devotees, like the Pandavas, are not without Krishna. The devotees and Lord are interlinked and they cannot be separated. Therefore, talks about them are all Krishna Katha, or the topics of the Lord. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you. So here it is mentioned that narration of both Lord Krishna as well as about his pure devotees is equally purifying, because both ultimately lead to narration about Krishna only, glorification about Krishna only. And similarly, there are very important books even published by BBT, Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, like say for example, Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit. Apparently, if we see Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit from very beginning till the end is about the lifespan of Srila Prabhupada, how he was raised in a very pious household, what were the samskaras of Krishna consciousness that he received, impressions that he received from his parents, how he learned by observing his parents. And then subsequently, we also learn in Leelamrit about Srila Prabhupada's struggle in the household days in terms of his business ventures, in terms of his raising his family, in terms of the non-cooperation of the spouse. We also read about the expectation of his contemporaries, his god brothers, about how Abhay Babu should be taking more responsibility in the day-to-day activities of running Gaudiya Math, and subsequent faith in faith that Srila Prabhupada's own spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati had, that when the right time comes, this particular devotee, Abhay Charana will take up all the needed responsibilities and will carry forward the preaching of Krishna consciousness in the West. So if we look at it from the analysis perspective, more than Krishna Katha, we will find the description is about life of Srila Prabhupada, but the underlying aspect of life of such a great devotee is invariably how he prepared himself for the life's mission, which was to preach Krishna consciousness. And when the right time came, how within a very short span of 12 years, he completely transformed the world. So when we look at conclusion, it will be about Krishna. But if we look at the details of the narration, sometimes it might seem a very material description, which it is not. So here Bhagavatam is telling us that the description, narration about both Lord Krishna and his pure devotees both constitute Krishna Katha, because ultimately they lead to narration and glorification of the Lord himself. So Rohini Mataji, you had any question, comment?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, fine. There are few comments on the chat. It is Shiksha Parampara, and giving knowledge how to reach God is the mission. Even in Bhagavad Gita 18:69, Krishna tells Arjun that such a person is more dear to him, and no one is more dear to him than one who preaches his knowledge. Thank you, Mataji. We proceed. So when it comes to the conclusion of the Kurukshetra war, we see, and I won't be going through each and every one of these verses, we'll see the synopsis. We see that the war has ended and Lord Krishna, who is participating in all the activities of the Pandavas as if he is one of their family members. Lord Krishna basically goes at a holy place to offer oblations for the departed souls who were killed in the battle, both from the Pandava side and Kaurava side. And we also see subsequently Ashwathama, who wanted to please his master. Who was Ashwathama's master? Prabhuji's, Mataji's?
Duryodhana.
Yes. Ashwathama wanted to please Duryodhana. In order to do that, he did a very heinous activity, that he killed the 5 sleeping sons of the Pandavas and Draupadi. And this activity was heinous act from many perspectives. First of all, it is not a Kshatriya conduct. The war of Kurukshetra is already over. So it is no more on for him to do this activity. Second thing, as per the Kshatriya code of conduct, we are not supposed to have confrontation with a person who is not fully equipped to fight. So the sons were young children. Secondly, they were unarmed. They did not have arms with them. Thirdly, they were sleeping. So considering all these wrong acts by Ashwathama, Duryodhana was not pleased at all. Basically, Ashwathama wanted to impress upon Duryodhana that I have killed the 5 Pandavas. And just by touching the children's heads, which were severed from their bodies, Duryodhana could understand that Ashwathama, he has not killed the Pandavas, but their 5 children. And he strongly disapproved this heinous act by Ashwathama. He was not at all pleased. And Duryodhana himself was on a deathbed because of the blows he had received from Bhimasena in the final fight. So we proceed. And then subsequently we see in Bhagavatam, Mother Draupadi, she is as a natural affection of the mother, she is very hurt and she is grieving badly because of the massacre of her sons. And she begins to cry in distress, full of tears. And Arjuna, as the dutiful husband, he is trying to pacify the wife and even give her the promise that, my dear wife, it is my promise to you that I will bring to you the head of this Brahma Bandhu Ashwathama. Time and again in this particular portion of Bhagavatam, Ashwathama is referred to as the relative of Dronacharya because of his ghastly activity of killing the Pandavas' children in their sleep. He is not referred to as a Brahmana. He is referred to as the relative of a Brahmana because he is in a fallen condition. He has become a blot on the glorious dynasty of Dronacharya. So Ashwathama commits to Draupadi that he will bring the head of Ashwathama, and standing on that head, she should take her bath, and then we proceed with the last rites of the sons. So he says, "Oh gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahmana, after beheading him with the arrows from my Gandiva bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then, after burning your sons' bodies, you can take your bath standing on Ashwathama's head." And I guess next portion we will see probably next time. This will take some time, and there are also few very important lessons to be discussed. The difference in a way how Ashwathama handles a difficult situation versus a great devotee like Arjuna, how he handles the difficult situation. So difference between a divine mentality versus demoniac mentality. So this will need some time. So next time we will surely conclude chapter 7, because although verses wise it is quite long chapter, it is still text 53, 54. How many verses we have?
58.
58, but context wise it will be covered much quicker than whatever time we have spent now. So please come well read of this particular section from text 15th onwards. Okay. Any question, comment, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna, based on what we discussed today?
Prabhu, meanwhile, just a quick announcement. Everybody were asking oral. So I will take one or two orals which are missed out along with chapter 7, because most of them have covered. I think second chapter, 2-3 devotees have left. That is one. And second thing is, along with chapter 7, which is only one sloka, which we read today, Mini did not tell the 6th chapter, 3rd sloka, which is, sorry, not 6th chapter, 5th chapter, 3rd sloka, 1.5.18. So I would request them to read that sloka also, which is a part of our session. I'll post it in the group along with the 7th chapter sloka.
Sure, Mataji. Let me ask a question after stopping the live stream. 1 second. Or anyone can stop.
Prabhuji, can you please explain